and welcome to another episode of Frightfully Forgotten Horror Movies. What are we drinking today, Adam?
Today we're drinking my home brew called The Witch's Oven.
Nice.
It's a German chocolate rye beer. So if you want the recipe, click the link on the top of the page there.
We're going to bring to you today 2001's Session 9. This movie was written and directed by Brad Anderson. He did quite a bit of movies. He did The Machinist, and he also did Trans-Siberian. This movie stars David Caruso. He was in CSI Miami for quite a while.
A decade!
Yeah, there you go. And Peter Mullan, he was in a couple of really good movies that we like here. Trainspotting, and he was in Shallow Grave, and he was in Braveheart for it's probably a second.
Yeah, like a bit part somewhere. Session 9 is a psychological thriller. It starts off with Gord Fleming. He owns an asbestos removal company. And he's trying to get the job to remove all the asbestos from this old abandoned mental hospital. Danvers State Hospital, which has been abandoned now for 15 years. And he needs this job bad. Gord and Phil are talking about, well, how long is this going to take? It feels like, I think this will take about 3 weeks. And then Gord tells the other guy he's making the bid to,
yeah,
I could get it done in 2. Feels like, maybe 2 if we push it. And Gord promises he can get it done in 1. If they get it done in 1, they get a $10,000 bonus. So now they're putting a team together that's going to work on removing all this shit from the insane asylum. And we get introduced to the characters. Phil is basically Gord's second-hand man, his confidant. He's a little bitter because another guy on the crew, Hank, has stolen his girlfriend. Now, Hank is a bit of a laid-back, marijuana-smoking, fast-talking, the plan. Everyone's got an exit plan.
Yeah.
Gord's nephew, Jeff, who he's just hired for this particular job, and he's just a brainless, mullet-wearing moron.
Dorito-eating.
Yeah. Lastly, there is Mike, who is the most intelligent of the bunch, a law school dropout. He's kind of a know-it-all, and he knows a bit of the history of the insane asylum and fills the guys in, Mike is in the basement. He finds a bunch of tapes. 9 different sessions. Got the old reel-to-reel, and he loads the tape player, and it's a doctor having these one-on-one conversations with Mary Hobbs, who suffers from multiple personality disorder. She's got 3 personalities besides her own. One is the princess, there's Billy, and there's also Simon, who we never actually hear Simon speak, but they refer to him. And then Mike gets basically obsessed with these sessions, and he's slowly working his way up to session 9.
Right. For the strict timeline that they have, they don't really seem to be working that hard.
Yeah, whenever it shows them, they're always outside on break.
Yeah. There seems to be a power struggle that keeps going on, right?
Yeah.
Between Gord and Phil. Phil kind of takes it upon himself to have a couple of extra guys lined up. And they keep fighting over this.
And he wants to get rid of Hank
and
hire this other guy.
Hank, he kind of stumbles upon these coins on the floor. A silver dollar! They're from the 1880s, and they're worth something. Leads him to a hole in the wall, and all these coins and all this silver comes out. So that night, he goes back to collect everything with a bag, and he's prepared. Somebody's there, but you don't know who. The next day, Hank is missing.
Doesn't show up to work.
Yeah, well, kind of like I'm sure they all figured, right? He
Yeah.
was that type of man. Apparently, they get a hold of his girlfriend. He's like, oh yeah, well, he's in Vegas, and he hit the jackpot big, and he's not coming back. Gord opens up to Phil about how he comes home one day, and his wife is making pasta on the stove. Yeah. And he kind of startles her, and she turns around with the boiling pot of water and burns him. He fucking just gives her one. He's really upset about that, and she's not letting him back in the house. Gord tells Phil to not tell anybody about this. But what does Phil end up doing?
Telling Mike right away.
Yeah, exactly. The power goes out. Jeff, who's afraid of the dark, he's got to go down in the basement to figure out, get this machine working. So on his way back up the stairs, he sees Hank staring out the window. But Hank is supposed to be gone in Vegas. He's just not the same man.
Yeah, he's blank.
He's blank, and he's wearing sunglasses, and it's very strange. He runs to the guys, and he's like, hey, I saw Hank, he's over there, and he's trying to get everybody together. Nobody believes him. That's when things really start to kind of come to a head. And we're not going to tell you what happens, because I'll tell you, the shit does hit the fan big time.
Yeah. The pacing in this movie is interesting because it starts here and it just slowly keeps going up.
It is kind of slow, but with Mike finding the tapes and with all this stuff going on, the dynamic, it keeps you intrigued.
The tapes have to do with multiple personality disorder. So you're thinking about that. It's okay, does one of these guys in this crew have multiple personality disorder? The caretaker guy for the asylum says some of these inmates who got released, they just come back here because they think it's home. And does one of these guys once an inmate in this place and now they're coming back? There's all these different ideas being brought to you and you're gonna kind of choose which way you want to go with it.
Gord, he's always getting all hurt in this, which is funny. It's like, as Mike is listening to those tapes, there's a scene where, like, Gord is cutting this plastic, he cuts his thumb, and then, like, he gets all his asbestos
in his eyes.
And then, like, his legs all boiled up, you know, and he puts, like, that
ointment or whatever.
And then, like, when they're trying to find Hank, he, like, kind of hops off the stairs and hurts his ankle, and he's kind of hobbling along, like, man, this guy's been put through the ringer.
Yeah. Peter Mullan, great job in this movie. Like, he nails it. He does such a good job as a guy who's on the brink of snapping.
For sure.
Like, just always on the edge. That great scene where he's sitting talking with his nephew out by the cemetery. It's so unsettling. He's talking, but it's just talking.
Yeah, it's not registering.
Something else is going on in here, right?
Yeah, and his lip is, like, quivering too, you know. And
the asylum is almost a character in itself, right?
Yeah, exactly. You get that foreboding feeling.
Yeah.
The setting for this is real, right?
Yeah, it was shot in a real insane asylum. They didn't have to do any set dressing or anything.
It looks dangerous, though, I gotta say.
They showed up with the cameras and the lighting, and that's it.
The imagery is really cool because, like, in a lot of the rooms, there's a lot of weird stuff, right?
Pictures on the walls and
a lot of weird equipment.
The weird, like, aqua chamber thing that they show. Like, all these weird things that they do to people, you know. Oh, yeah, this works. This does something.
Yeah.
Nah.
Like weird symbols of Satanism from like these squatters that have been coming in, right? So it adds another little facet to the movie.
Is it someone being possessed by a ghost in this asylum? Like, there's all these ideas floating around.
Yeah.
The music in this movie is very simple.
Yeah.
Very simplistic, but very effective. The characters that you listen to on the tapes, the multiple personalities, are very creepy.
Yeah.
And also when he's looking at the photos of Mary Hobbs as he's listening to her, and she's like, just looks so unwell, right?
Yeah. The tension between all of them too, right? It makes sense because when you go into this foreboding structure or building, it's gonna get to you, I think, right? And the job itself too is just shitty.
Yeah.
So the thing is, like, they're gonna get at each other's throats. It makes sense.
Yeah, there's so much tension between the characters.
Yeah.
And every character has a motive against another character somehow. Like, so much dynamic there.
Again, it makes you guess.
Yeah,
right?
it makes for a very interesting, like, whodunit type atmosphere.
Yeah. So, if you're a big fan, I think, of movies like Shutter Island, a lot of Alfred Hitchcock movies.
Yeah,
right?
It's definitely got a Hitchcock type twist to it, and, you know, if you've seen Shallow Grave, which is a movie we plan on doing sometime in the future, this is a lot of that type of vibe to it. If you like psychological thrillers with a lot of atmosphere,
perfect setting for a horror movie.
Yeah, so if you want to watch a movie that at the end you can kind of put your own spin on what it really means, definitely check out Session 9. It's, you know, you may have trouble sleeping that night. Check it out.